Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and today we will be talking about another legend that really fits in with the idea of this Spooktober. A cryptid known as the Fouke Monster. It is also known as the Beast of Boggy Creek. In May of 1971, Bobby Ford reported to the Fouke constable that he was attacked at his house by a hairy creature that breathed heavily, had red eyes, and moved very fast. Ford said the man-like creature, which was about 7 feet tall and 3 feet across the chest, put its arm around his shoulder and grabbed him. Ford broke free from the creature and ran, reporting that he ran so fast he did not stop to open the front door but barreled right through it. He was treated at a local hospital for minor scratches and shock. So, yeah. It's a very interesting tale. It even has a movie called The Beast of Boggy Creek about the incidents. In fact, there's a number of movies about it. There's The Legend of Boggy Creek, The Return of Boggy Creek, Boggy Creek 2, and the legend continues. Boggy Creek, the legend is true, and the legacy of Boggy Creek. That all seem to spring from this particular set of incidents. Now, the town it's named after, the Fouke Monster, is a town in Arkansas. If you look on a Google Maps, it's not too horribly far from the Texas-Arkansas border. Yeah, there's the border. I'm not sure how many miles, but they're not too far apart. Let's see. The earliest accounts actually take us back just before 1971. To 1953 and 1955, where there were sightings. Um, let's see. They were the first reported sightings in 53 and 55 when it was spotted by a 14-year-old boy. Of course, we always should be wary when it's spotted by a child. But the boy described it as having reddish-brown hair, sniffing the air and not reacting when it was fired upon with birdshot. Investigator Joe Nickel observed that the description was consistent with a misidentified black bear. Although most cases from the early 70s onward, although most cases date from the early 1970s onward, Fouke residents claim that an ape-like creature had roamed the area since 1964, but those sightings have not been reported to news services. Local legend also holds that the creature can be further traced back to sightings in 1946. Most early sightings were in the region of Jonesville, Arkansas. Owing to this, the creature was known as the Jonesville Monster during this period. Prior to the 20th century several reports in the general area have been tied to the Fouke Monster. The two most widely circulated reports focus on an 1851 report in the Memphis Inquirer and an 1856 report in the Caddo Gazette. But again, nothing solid. There are reports, sightings, but that's it. Of course, you don't have videotape then. Pictures, I think, are an early, well, it'd be late 1800s technology. Because some of the earliest photographs taken are during the Civil War. But that's all we really have. But nonetheless, they are reports and sightings. Let me see. What else we have? Now, the town of Fouke itself is a small town in southwest Arkansas, um, in Miller County, Arkansas. The big incident was the 1971 attack on Bobby Ford that attacked him in his home. And of course, in 1973, a movie was made about the incident. You know, like we were talking about earlier, The Beast of Boggy Creek. Uh, yeah. It was reported to attack the home of Bobby and Elizabeth Ford. late on the night of May the 2nd, 1971. According to Elizabeth Ford, the creature, which she initially took to be a bear, reached through a screen window while she was sleeping on a couch. It was chased away by her husband and his brother Don, who were suffering from mild shock when he arrived. During the encounters, the Fords fired several shots at the creature and believed that they had hit it, though no traces of blood were found. And an extensive search of the area failed to locate the creature, but three-toed footprints were found close to the home, as well as scratch marks on the porch and damage to a window and the house's siding. According to the Fords, they had heard something moving around outside at night several nights before the actual encounter, but having lived in the house for less than a week, had never encountered the actual creature before. So there's the first big reported incident. And the movie that was made about the incident is based on an actual book written by one Lyle Blackburn. Who wrote about the actual incident. Ford said the being had been around his house for several days. Again, the notifications of hearing the sounds, and that there were other eyewitnesses, including his brother and a hunting companion. Ford's wife, Elizabeth, claimed that she was asleep in the front room when she saw a hairy arm with claws coming in the window. She also saw the creature's red eyes on the night of the attack, Ford claimed. And he and his hunting party spotted the creature at the back of Ford's house with the aid of a flashlight. They shot at it and thought they saw it fall. The men started out toward it, but Bobby Ford ran back to the house when the group heard women screaming. Upon Ford's return to the house, he was attacked. The men shot the creature several more times, but investigators never found blood. Sheriff's Department searched the area, and the only thing the officers found were a set of strange tracks and claw scratches on the Ford's porch. Let's see. So, yeah. Reporter for the Texarkana and the Texarkana Gazette and the Texarkana Daily News, and the director of Texarkana's radio station KTFS, Jim Powell and Dave Hall, went to Ford's place and found a terrified family moving out of the house it had owned less than a week. Powell wrote an article that appeared in the newspaper outlining the family's alleged sighting and attack. The next day, both the Texarkana Gazette and the Texarkana Daily published the same follow-up story. It contained the first reference to the name Fouke Monster. The Associated Press and the United Press International wire services transmitted the article to newspapers across the nation. In 1973, the actual incident did turn into a low-budget movie, The Legend of Boggy Creek, which caused the legend to grow even further. Let's see. Okay, my apologies. I claimed movie was based on a story written by Lyle Blackburn, but he just wrote a book on the events called The Beast of Boggy Creek, the true story of the Fouke Monster. So my apologies for the misinformation on that earlier. But yeah, 1973. But back in 1971, after the first incident when it attacked Bobby and Elizabeth Ford in their home, um, the creature was spotted again on May the 23rd of 71, when three people, D.C. Woods Jr., Wilma Woods, and Mrs. R.H. Sedgas, reported seeing an ape-like creature crossing U.S. Highway 71. More sightings were made over the following months by local residents and tourists who found additional footprints. The best known footprints were found in a soybean field belonging to local filling station owner Scott Keith. They were scrutinized by game warden Carl Gallion, who was unable to confirm their authenticity. But like the Ford prints, they appeared to indicate the creature had only 3 toes. Let's see. So the creature began to attract substantial interest during the early 1970s. There was even a bounty placed on it, posted by radio station KAAY in Little Rock, Arkansas, of $1,090. So there actually were people who made several attempts to track the creature, even with dogs, but were unable to follow its scent. Miller County Sheriff Leslie Greer was forced to put a temporary no-guns policy in place in order to preserve public safety. It got so bad with hunters trying to take an interest in the monster. And in 1971, 3 people were fined $59 each for filing a fraudulent monster report. After an initial surge of attention, public interest on the creature decreased until 73, when it was once again boosted by the film that we talked about, The Legend of Boggy Creek. By late 74, interest had waned once more, and the sightings had all but stopped, only to begin again in March 78, when tracks were reportedly found by 2 brothers prospecting in Russellville, Arkansas. There were also sightings in Center Ridge, Arkansas. On June the 26th of that same year, 1978, a sighting was reported in Crossett, Arkansas. During this period, the creature is blamed for missing livestock and attacks on several dogs, supposedly. Since the initial clusters of sightings during the 70s, there have been sporadic reports of the creature. In 1991, the creature was reportedly seen jumping from a bridge. There were 40 reported sightings in 1997, and in 1998, the creature was reportedly sighted in a dry creek bed 5 miles south of Fouke. Let's see, what else do we have? What else do we have on the monster? But besides the list of movies, it's also been listed on a number of television shows, um, including the show Monsters and Mysteries in America, the show Finding Bigfoot, the show Mysteries at the Museum, the show Monster Quest, the show Lost Tapes, and Weird Travels. See, uh, but supposedly the most recent sighting they have listed in any of the sources I have here is from 2014. Um, I'm trying to see if they've got anything else. There's a number of people in an article here from the El Dorado News. Some people say they see it, some say they've never seen it. But it is perhaps the most famous southern Bigfoot like creature to exist. So, yeah, the town is 3 hours away um, from Texas. What else? I don't see too much else, just reports of sightings and talking about the Fouke monster in the article. Um, but in Wikipedia, reception and hoax. 1 month after the Bobby Ford sighting, Southern State College, currently known as Southern Arkansas University, archaeologist Frank Shambach determined that there is a 99% chance the tracks are a hoax. According to Shambach, the tracks could not be from a species of ape, as claimed by witnesses, because they were from a three-toed creature, whereas all primates, including hominids, have 5 toes. In addition to the number of toes, Schambach cited several other anomalies as part of his conclusion. The region had no history of primate activity, ruling out the possibility of the creature being the remnants of an indigenous species. All primates are completely diurnal. I think that's what it says. Oh, diurnal. My eyes are bad. And the Fouke monster appeared to be partially nocturnal. So, in other words, diurnal, um, it's awake part of the night and awake part of the day. It only has slight periods of sleeping. See, is a diurnality is a form of plant or animal behavior characterized by activity during daytime with a period of sleeping or other inactivity at night. The common adjective used for daytime activity is diurnal, so it's active during the day. It should be active during the day because most primates are, if it's related to primates. The timing of activity by an animal depends on a variety of environmental factors. So, yeah. By 1986, the mayor of Fouke, Virgil Roberts, and former Miller County Sheriff Leslie Greer were of the opinion that the alleged Fouke monster tracks were man-made. Greer's working colleague at the time, Chief Deputy H.L. Phillips, said that he had not taken calls regarding the monster in years. Personally, he does not believe the creature exists. I don't believe in it, but I'd say you don't argue with people who say they've seen it. Many were respectable and responsible folks, Phillips said. The Skeptoid podcast concludes, so in total, every last shred of evidence that the Fouke monster exists at all is anecdotal. Not a single piece is testable. And the Fouke monster fits very poorly with the model of a living animal. But it fits very well with a local legend. So that's a lot of the information we have on the Fouke monster. And like I said, it's supposed to be very similar to a Bigfoot, which, based on reports, we would assume would be primate. But the information we've just seen there, primates 5 toes and are diurnal, meaning they really aren't active or awake at night, which the reports of the Fouke monster is nocturnal, and it was 3-toed. So, we also have to take into account that, as it was stated, all accounts are pretty much just anecdotal. It's something I stated earlier. There's no evidence, a photograph, if someone had the camera with them, would have been possible. Of course, there's no camera phones or anything at that time. So it would have been cameras. So why would someone have a camera out? So there's even reasons for that not to happen. But still, with only anecdotal cases and the differences we see between it and other Bigfoot type creatures, which, again, I believe Bigfoot is possible. It's a primate. We know they can exist. Um, in many areas of the world. So primates I give a lot of um, credence to because, again, we've seen them all over the world, and the idea that a Bigfoot would be there is not unfeasible. I'm sure there is food. You've got all kinds of game, and I'm sure there are other things it could hunt on, like berries. I'm not as familiar with the swampy areas like that would be in Fouke. But I'm sure there would be other sources of food. But the tracks of three-toed footprints, eh, it being supposedly nocturnal, and the red eye shine. There's few creatures with red eye shine. It does exist, but not every creature is with red eye shine. So, like I said, I believe a Bigfoot creature can exist, but the Fouke monster, the monster of Boggy Creek, while a good tale, I don't believe it exists. It's an interesting tale. It does a lot, but it falls short. But that'll be it for now. As always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tries to tell you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I will try to have the sources cited in the description below, by the way. But until the next video, till next time, later.